Hey everybody, how's it going? Let me get set up here. Hopefully everybody saw that I actually scheduled the live this time. I actually put it on scheduled. Hopefully, so the YouTube did a pop up so everybody could actually see that I was going live. So hopefully people will pop in. So during this live today, anything goes. I mean, we can chat about. I mean, whatever questions you have about my channel, suggestions about what you want my channel to do, what are some new, fragrance content you want to see. Honestly, I've been diving into the cheapies, so if y'all want to see cheapy content, I got cheapy content coming. I want to see if anybody's gonna pop in here. Hmm. Nobody's popping in. Be on here for a minute. Oh, there's somebody. Hey, how you doing? So I wasn't sure if I'd set it to public or unlisted. So now I know that somebody's here. Hey, Abraham Johnson, how you doing, my friend? What's up, brother? So what? I'm doing good. I'm holding on. We still have some sunlight to burn, so we're gonna have some fun and just kick it. I uh, I have a fragrance I want to unbox with y'all. This is Guess 1981 Indigo. This is supposedly a very good cheapie for the summer with coconut and kind of an aquatic fragrance. And people have been dying to hear my opinions on this one and a review of it. So I'll give you my first impressions and I'll unbox this with y'all tonight. So that'll be something a little fun. And of course, I can chat about anything and everything. I was just saying that if y'all want cheapy content, let me know what kind of content do you like on my channel. Do you want me to focus on mass appealing, beast mode? Do y'all really care about compliments? Do you want niche content? Do y'all want indie content? Because I like to do it all, but I like to find a balance. I try to switch it up and have some fun. Every other episode, I like to throw something new at you, like a cheapy fragrance, and then a niche fragrance, and then an indie fragrance, and then something expensive, and then something weird, and then I throw out like a discussion, like a chat video, and then somebody tags me, and I get to do like a top 10 video, and that kind of cycle keeps going on. So let me know. What's up with me? I'm doing pretty good. Today's a good day. My life's pretty good. I'm not worried about health. I'm out in the countryside. I am isolating. We all are dealing with the Rona and all that. So I can't complain. Finances are the only struggle, but overall, life isn't bad. It is interesting trying to keep yourself busy and proactive and not get bored during these times. I like to read. I've tried to pick up writing books. I have a couple books on my mind. I've always wanted to become a writer, but I've never put into work to actually become a writer. So that's on my mind. I don't play too many video games, but I guess I'll admit to y'all that I've play Stardew Valley from time to time, which is kind of a dumb farming simulator, but that's been kind of fun to just kick some time and try that out. A lot of people told me about it, and it's not a bad game if you have some time. So that's I do that sometimes. I love to cook. I'm really good at cooking. People have told me I need to open up a restaurant. I'm excellent at cooking. I have a lot of hidden talents. I have a green thumb. I'm good at gardening. Y'all see this backyard. It's not easy to keep this up. I'm just out here all the time chopping down weeds and trying to keep it looking nice. So I can't take credit for everything. I don't do the mowing half the time, but everything else. Uh, there's a lot of weeds and poison ivy still in there, but it's a lot to keep a hold of. Do what you want, brother, with your channel. Your real supporters will support you either way. For sure, definitely. Got to be true to myself. I got to be happy with the content I'm putting out. I got to feel authentically connected and put out those vibes, with who I am and the people who love, my comedy, my entertainment, my thoughts, and all that. They're definitely going to be connected with me. So you five people, you five wonderful people, thank you for being here with me. So let me know if you're ready for me to unbox and give me my first impressions of this one. I don't know if y'all saw my Instagram post, but I have a lot of cheapies. I did a big fragrance net haul, and I bought a fair amount of stuff the last month or so. So I'm gonna have a big haul video for y'all. I have that big shout out video I need to work on, and I think I was tagged in another tag video. No, no, I wasn't tagged, but I really want to do the 50 fragrances in 3 minutes, or 50 fragrances in 180 seconds. The video that Fragrance Apprentice did, it's a really fun video. I don't know. Do y'all want me to do that? It would be a lot of work, a lot of editing, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to do that. To just do some witty commentary just through 3 words. Okay, bring it on. Okay, y'all are ready. And anyways, if y'all are here, let me know what's your scent of the day. Have you tried Cool Water Intense? Honestly, I haven't. My local mall where I live doesn't get a lot of the new fragrances, but I need to head over there and see if they have anything new. It takes them forever to get anything new, and half of the time they don't really have any. Like we don't, I don't think they have any of the Dior's, particularly except I mean, they have some Chanel's like Blue Day Chanel, but no, and there's Dior Sauvage, but none of the other ones like the Homme line, like the new 2020 of Homme, like they don't have any of that stuff. So I want to try it. I've heard that it's a little bit more mass appealing. I've heard it's more of a blue fragrance. I'm curious to see if the new Cool Water Intense smells like Invictus at all. I'm curious to see if that's still a trend. But I'm excited to try it. I might just like it. We'll have to see. A lot of people maybe are getting bored of these blue fragrances, but they're selling really, really well. Like I did a review of the new Chrome Extreme, which is more of just a blue fragrance from Azzaro, and it actually is a pretty good fragrance. I think it's a lot better than a lot of the blue fragrances out there, but there's just so many to keep a hold of. But the thing is, we have to, us as fragrance enthusiasts, we have to keep in mind that the average person going to the mall, the average person on the street, they don't know about Azzaro's 5 other flankers and the 10 other flankers of Muglers and all these other things. They see a new fragrance and it's the newest thing, and somebody at the counter is telling them that it's the new good fragrance. And they're going to smell it, and most likely they're going to like it. So that's probably what's going on. They might have a bottle of Sauvage, but they also might like the Azzaro Extreme. So it's not a big deal. But if you're really deep into fragrances and you see you've seen 100 blue fragrances and then 1,000 flankers of blue fragrances, just like the Aventus clones. Like for me as a fragrance reviewer, you might as a somebody out there might be excited about might want to hear about a new Aventus clone, but I've already tried like 30 or more plus of them, and I've seen like 50 plus, and it won't be. There's probably 100 Aventus clones out there by now, and it's just not fun for me personally to smell another one. But I know people out there want to hear about them, so I think so far for me personally, if you want an Aventus clone, and I know that's a hot topic, there's one called Napoleon Cologne by Zoha, and that's probably my favorite one so far. But I don't wear Aventus cologne or Aventus style fragrances that often, honestly. Mark Anderson says, wearing Barbados Artisan Pure today. Really nice with warmer weather. Surprisingly good longevity. Artisan Pure is a really good fragrance. I didn't get good longevity out of it. I got 6 hours. If I sprayed a lot of it on clothes, I'd be lucky to get 7. But if you get good performance, that's absolutely awesome. For me, it is a really nice fragrance. It was hyped for a couple months, or it was pretty well hyped for a good summer, and it deserves positive attention. It does smell a little bit like lemon lime soda to me, honestly, but hey, that's not a bad thing. If you smell like classy vetiver and lemon lime soda, that's a pretty good thing. So it's a good fragrance. It's not as fresh as some people might expect. The fragrance is a little bit more mellow and a little bit more sweet than you might expect for like a freshie or a summer fragrance. So scent of the day is Bond Number 9 Bleecker Street, and scent of the night is Frederick Mall Dries van Noten. I don't know if I've tried that Frederick Mall. I need to dive into the house. I jumped on and had to get a sample back in the day of Muscovy. I definitely smelled that one, but I haven't tried a lot of Frederick Malls. I tried the Muscovy because there was a bunch of really high class fragrance reviewers who are really into the niche, and they were ranting and raving about it. My nose is sensitive to clove, so sadly that fragrance didn't work for me. So I kind of didn't try Frederick Mall, and didn't. I've never gone back to them since. But I need to give them a good try. I need to give them a fair chance. I can't let one fragrance with notes that don't work for me discourage me from never trying another Frederick Mall. So I need to give them another chance. But that Bleecker Street's pretty good. I'm sure y'all have heard about that one. That one smells like grass, fresh cut grass, and blueberries. It's probably the fragrance that smells the most authentic to actual blueberries. It's a very fun fragrance. To me, it smells like spring. Oddly, I don't know if it's easy to pull off as a versatile fragrance unless you want to smell like blueberries all the time. I think it's a really fun, like carefree fragrance for the spring, but honestly, I don't know if I would buy a bottle because I don't know, if I would wear it regularly. I like the smell of blueberries, but I don't know if I want to smell like blueberries. But it's a good fragrance. I think it's one of the best Bond Number Nine fragrances. To me, Ches Bond is probably my favorite so far. It smells kind of similar to Green Irish Tweed, but it's a lot heavier on the citrus, like a kind of like a lemon citrus. It's pretty mass appealing. It's not the most unique one, but Ches Bond's probably my favorite. Dying to try Bleecker Street. Yeah, if you want to smell like blueberries and fresh cut grass, Bleecker Street's pretty nice. It's honestly it only gave me 6 hours or so performance, but if you can find it on the cheap and if you like the unique smell of blueberries, it's probably the best blueberry fragrance I've come across. So yeah, let's unbox this. Let's get some thoughts on this one. Honestly, I don't remember all the notes. All I remember is that's an aquatic and it's supposed to be sweet and it's supposed to have coconut. And some people think it's an awesome summer fragrance, and it's a cheapie. This one's less than $20 for a full size bottle. So, does Varvatos Artisan Black smell like the Traveler and the Moon? I haven't tried Artisan Black. Do you mean Artisan Pure? I don't remember ever hearing about an Artisan Black by John Varvatos. If you're thinking about Artisan Pure, it doesn't really smell like the Traveler in the Moon. The Traveler in the Moon is an indie fragrance. It's its own weird little fragrance. It smells kind of milky, kind of creamy. It's a kind of like a fragrance that smells like tea. It's very calming and meditative. I don't know of a lot of fragrances that smell like it at all. It's its own little thing. So definitely Google it. Look up the notes. There's not a lot of fragrances that have similar notes to it at all. Um, my favorite Bond is Andy Warhol, Lexington Avenue, and the New Harlem. I bet Andy Warhol would be my favorite if I tried the real original Andy Warhol. I bet that's a great fragrance, but you know how much that goes for. That if you get the real purple bottle with Andy Warhol's face on it, it's $500 plus these days. So I'm sure it's good, but I haven't tried it. I haven't tried Lexington. I think I've tried New Harlem. I think that's the one that smells like maple syrup. But honestly, the one that's calling my name is Noir Exquise by Late Artisan, and that's definitely on the buy list for sure. Artisan Black. I need to try Artisan Black then. I don't remember trying Artisan Black, but unless it has tea and like creamy and sour notes, and I don't suspect it would smell like the Traveler in the Moon. Purple Label is similar to Bleecker Street. Oh yes, absolutely, you're very right. I find that the Purple Label is more classy and more of like a versatile fragrance. You know, to me, maybe it doesn't have as much character as the Bleecker Street, but it's easier to wear for more situations. The Bleecker Street smells more like a niche fragrance, and that's the funny thing. Bond Number Nine fragrances often get a bad reputation for not being particularly complex or being particularly unique as far as niche fragrances go. But Bleecker Street actually has a lot of character. It kind of is a real niche fragrance, in my opinion. I struggle with a lot of Bond Number Nine fragrances because some of them don't last very long on my skin. Some of them aren't very unique as well, and sometimes the quality. I mean, a lot of modern fragrances, even niche fragrances, use synthetics. But a lot of Bond Number Nine fragrances are blended, they do smell synthetic to my nose. But some of them are pretty nice. Montauk, Ches Bond, New Harlem, and Andy Warhol are probably the ones that are the most popular out of the bunch, at least as far as I know. I do want to try the Dubai exclusives, which came out I think like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, but I haven't tried those yet, sadly. Randy Hater says, I agree. Fantastic. I'm glad you feel the same. Have you tried Eau de Citron by Noir Hermes? I don't know if I've tried that one. I need to try it, but it sounds nice. A noir, like maybe a deeper, darker, maybe a smoky citrus. That'd be nice. I get 12 hours from the scent a piece for him. No, that's fantastic. I don't know if I've given that one much of a try. I know that one and the .com, the one with the blue yellow on it, supposedly smells somewhat similar to a Ventus, and that one's pretty popular. That one got hyped for a little bit, but I don't know if it's popular as much as it used to be. The centerpiece for him, I've heard really good things about it. So I need to try more Bond number nines. Hopefully, I can find another one that I like besides Ches Bond. If I found Ches Bond for like $100 or less, I probably would scoop it up. I do like it, so, but I don't find it terribly unique or special. More of like a versatile, classy, everyday sip. So is Santal 33 good? Hearing a lot about this frag. Santal 33 is a big hyped fragrance. Santal 33 is kind of one of those fragrances that's getting super, super popular in the fragrance world. You know, like Boncar Rouge 540 got super popular. Creed Aventus, in the niche world at least, was probably the first niche superstar, as far as I know. You know, Bogart Rouge 540 was one, Santal 33 is one, and Oud for Greatness is by Initio is kind of becoming a niche superstar. I personally do not like Santal 33. Yeah, the opening is pretty harsh, and then the dry down does become this modern kind of molecule like sandalwood fragrance. It's kind of linear on my skin. It doesn't change a lot. And the funny thing is, I'm a big fan of sandalwood. I really love sandalwood, but Santal 33 to me, just as far as a niche fragrance goes, it's not very complex. It doesn't change. And I know what real Mysore sandalwood smells like, and real high quality sandalwood. So that it's more of a synthetic molecule kind of sandalwood. It just isn't pleasant to me, especially for the price. It's expensive. And recently, I'll put out a review. I don't think I put up my review yet, but Dunhill Century is kind of a clone. It's kind of a designer clone of Santal 33. If you really want that fragrance, I would direct you and encourage you to get the Dunhill Century. It's more mass appealing. It has a tiny. It's not a sweet fragrance, but it has a little bit of sweetness to round it out, and it smells more like sandalwood to my nose. It might not last. It has good longevity. Still has like 8 hours of performance. A lot of people like the Santal 33 because supposedly they can get like 12 hours plus out of it. I think the Dunhill Century is far better. It got really mixed reviews when it came out. It might be discontinued at this point. The Dunhill Century did not sell very well, and y'all know when fragrances, especially in the designer world, don't sell very well, they quickly can them. They quickly discontinue them in 6 months or less. I've heard rumors that the Valentino line, the whole Umo line, if you like any of those, the Valentino regular, the Valentino Aqua, the Noir. I think there's a Noir version and a Noir Absolute, and there might be one that I forgot about. But if you like any of those, you probably need to scoop them up. Um, things like that can happen real quick on people, and then they get disheartened when the prices skyrocket. Like Prada Extreme was one that people loved. Prada Extreme was a really good fragrance. I mentioned that it was discontinued and that it was going out, and I mean the supply dried up really, really fast, and people were sad about that one. So it happens. Mugler was bought out. Big changes are going to happen with Mugler. Big changes are happening with Creed. And stuff like that's happening all the time. So hopefully that's a good answer to you, Mark. Hopefully I helped you out. Abraham says with the Dubai line, it's overpriced for what you get. Those bottles start for like 550. That's the thing. I would like to try them and see what I thought about them. And maybe if I could get one for 50% off or something, I might love one. I just said that because I hope that I can find a Bond number 9 that I really like in my collection that maybe one day I can buy. And honestly, the Dubai exclusives, the bottles look really, really nice. They got like crystals all over them. They look like emerald cities, or they're made out of rubies and stuff. It's pretty crazy. Hey Ronald, how you doing? Evening to you. How you doing, my friend? Happy to see you. How's everybody doing today? What's your scent of the day? Please, everybody, share with me. Good tip about Dunhill Century. Thanks. Yeah, definitely check out Dunhill Century. I think it's underrated. I think it got mixed reactions and mixed reviews when people smelled it when it first came out, because Dunhill Century is not a blue fragrance. A lot of people are expecting, like, Dunhill Icon was kind of a Terre d'Hermes fragrance. It was like a vetiver citrus fragrance. It was pretty well received. It has good longevity. Ladies like it. It's more of a gentlemanly fragrance. So, it appealed to gentlemen or somebody who wanted maybe like a less classy, maybe a more easygoing version of like Terre de Hermes. But when Dunhill Century came out, it didn't really fit a lot of the market. Does that make sense? Like, this is how you got to think about fragrances when, brands release fragrances, especially if you work in business. Like, who is this fragrance for? So, it didn't appeal to the people who want the fresh citrusy fragrances, the aquatics, the aqua di gios, and the like. It didn't appeal to the people who want the blue fresh aquatics, the Dior Sauvages, the Bleu de Chanel's, and those kinds of fragrances. It didn't appeal really to really anybody. It didn't fit a spot, but as far as if you're really deep into fragrances and you like sandalwood and creamy woody scents, Dunhill Century is pretty nice. It's not the most interesting fragrance, but it works. That's why Guerlain Ideal Cologne is also discontinued. A lot of people don't want to hear this kind of talk in the fragrance world, but it's good to get a good check of reality sometimes. That fragrance is getting discontinued because it didn't sell. Us as fragrance lovers think it's well blended. It smells nice. It's kind of like a creamy, slightly nutty fragrance, and it was a really good value, discounted. I mean, or discontinued like $30 when you could find a full size bottle. Now you can find the 50 mils for $20 before the supply dries up, and then the price is going to go crazy on Guerlain Ideal Cologne. But if you got the average person on the street, it just smells kind of clean. It smells kind of smooth and kind of creamy. It's not something that's particularly unique or particularly special, like a guy wants to wear every day. Like the average guy who's not deep into niche or just deep into fragrances is just going to want to smell like Dior Sauvage. That's the truth of the matter. 9 times out of 10, when guys are going to the mall, they're asking for something like Dior Sauvage, and that's what they're wearing, and that's what they're buying, and nothing's wrong with that. I'm just talking about that's what happened with Dunhill Century. So, what's your favorite sandalwood based fragrance? That's a very hard question. I do like the Dunhill Century, especially for the money. It's a big 4.5 ounce, not a 4.2. It's a 4.5 ounce bottle, and I got it for less than $30, shipped to my door. But probably it's Moon Milk by Stora Skog, and I talked a couple times about it in the past when I first started getting into fragrance. It's a beautiful tea, and it has real Mysore sandalwood, just a little bit. It's not the creamiest fragrance, but it has a really beautiful presentation. It's not cheap though. It's like 150 odd dollars last time I looked for like 30 mils. But it's a really good sandalwood. High quality sandalwood's not cheap, especially if you start trying to play with Mysore. Sandalwood's not a cheap ingredient. A lot of people take it for granted. Synthetic sandalwood accords are thrown into the bases of a lot of fragrances, and people don't know what real sandalwood can really smell like, how good it is, and also how expensive it is. I mean, it's expensive. So, Commodity Book is way better than Santal 33. I need to try that one, or try it again. I did buy a Discovery set of Commodity. Honestly, for me personally, Commodity didn't work for me. But hey, if you find a Commodity fragrance for $40 and you like it, those are still, you might be able to find those at TJ Maxx's and Ross and the like. So, hey, Mr. Cheap Sense, how you doing? I'm about to unbox this one, so I got a good cheap scent, less than $20 shipped to my door. So I know a lot of people have been wanting to hear about this one, possibly for a good summer scent. So guess 1981 Indigo. I got to unbox and smell this one for y'all right here. So, how do you judge the authenticity of a fragrance when you buy off eBay? I'll tell you what I do. Very good question, my friend, Dean. What you got to do is you got to go and look at the seller. The seller's got to have at least like 99%. And you want to find the big name sellers. You want to find big name sellers. If at least if you're going for a modern fragrance, that if you're not going for partials, if you're going for a big, like a boxed brand new fragrance, and they got to have like 99, 98%, and have tons of sales. I mean, like 5, 10, 15, 20,000 plus sales. So that's how you know you're getting something good. eBay is going to protect you if it is a fake, if you are suspect that it has been tampered with, if the seal's been broken. Honestly, I should have done a video, and I'm still gonna do a video. And I think my dad still has his bottle of Eau Sauvage, so I can show y'all an actual bottle of Eau Sauvage. But I encountered somebody who cheated me. I just returned the bottle, and somebody cheated me big time off of eBay. I bought a bottle of Eau Sauvage. I got it for like $45 with $8, like like the priority flat rate shipping, $8.30 in the USA or whatever. So they shipped it to me for like $53, and I essentially got it for $20 less that you can get on Fragrance Net. Eau Sauvage is a really great classic vetiver citrus fragrance, and it doesn't get discounted. It doesn't go cheap really. The thing is, when I got it, the seal had already been opened. They had the seal had been resealed. They didn't even do it right. You can do it with a heat gun if you're real sneaky, if you're a cheater. I look into this kind of stuff, but they just did it with plain Jane tape, double-sided tape. They did it the wrong way, and they didn't even they cheated me. The fragrance was used; it was missing almost 20% of its contents, and I know what real Eau Sauvage smells like. And the guy had blended it. That's one of the things y'all got to keep if y'all buy things from people on fragrance groups, especially if you blind buying a fragrance, if it's a partial or if it's used. Some of these people, they might have 10% or 20% left in that bottle, and the thing is, if they're cheating you big time, they're not going to mix it with alcohol. Just about anybody who knows anything about fragrance, or even if you don't know anything about fragrance, if you spray that and you get hit with a big alcohol blast, like it burns your nostrils, that's offensive. They're getting smarter, and they're cheating. Learning how to cheat you. The biggest thing that they're gonna do is that they can mix it with like beet alcohol or a better type of alcohol and cheat you that way. But the easiest thing to do, also because it gives you some longevity, is to buy an aroma chemical like Isoi Super, which is super cheap. They buy Isoi Super and they mix it into the fragrance and they dilute it and they cheat you. My dad's a big Aventus fan with Creed, and he buys Aventus all the time. And Creed Aventus, you're going to the slaughterhouse if you buy Aventus off of eBay. You're taking a big risk. So if you've never smelled Aventus before and you're buying it off of eBay, be very careful. Please, don't. If you've never smelled Aventus, get a sample. Find a way that you can smell it before you just blind buy it, and definitely test the longevity. Make sure you're getting something authentic. So I definitely got a return on that. I returned that Eau Sauvage, and it's on the way, and hopefully I get my return soon. But they did everything wrong in the book. The seal was broken, the fragrance was used, and the fragrance was diluted and mixed. It didn't smell right, it didn't transition right, and the dry down was completely off. So people out there will cheat you. They'll cheat you big time, people. Got to be careful. Sorry about my rant, but I'm just passionate about that because I know so many people watch my channel, and I do talk about eBay sometimes. I've gotten some really great fragrances off of eBay, and sometimes there are people who are even underselling. They're selling things that they don't want anymore, or maybe they don't know what they got. They bought it maybe from an estate sale, and they're just reselling it because they don't like fragrances just in general. And there's some crazy deals on eBay sometimes. But you got to be careful. Sometimes people are cheating you big time. So let me see here. Hopefully that helped you, Dean. I hope I helped you. Mark says, thanks, Darren. Evening. Hey, Ray. How you doing? Happy to see you, Ray. How you doing? How's the world? How's the life? What you wearing? I'm wearing Beaver by Zoologist. I saw your post, Mr. Cheap Sits. I saw that you were pleasantly surprised about Beaver and that you actually really like it. I think that's awesome that you like that fragrance. I honestly haven't tried a lot of Zoologist. I've tried a few of them. I've tried Camel, and I'm trying to remember. I tried another one, I think, but I haven't tried a lot of Zoologist. I need to dive more into the house. I really want to try Chameleon and Rhino and Elephant. And that's definitely on my big try list. I have a big list of samples I need to try, but that looks fun. It'd be really fun to try Beaver. So, scent of the day is Italica. I've heard really good things about that one, Ray. That's one of those exclusives. You're in the know. If you got Italica, that's one of those exclusives that's not open to the market yet. And I know you're smelling good over there. I hear it's a really good gourmand. So, Dean says, how do you determine if you will or won't like a fragrance besides looking at the notes? Do you ever look at Fragrantica and see what people have noted and smelled like? I do. It's a very good question. It's more of trial and error. once you really try a lot of fragrances, once you smell a lot of fragrances, you start being able to make more educated blind buys. Of course, I try to suggest people not to, but let's be honest, a lot of us blind buy fragrances. I blind buy a lot of fragrances. What you got to do is look at the notes. You got to take into account who's selling the fragrance. Is it a Zaro? Is the quality like? Is it a designer brand that's going to be so quality? How picky are you about your quality? How expensive is the fragrance? You gotta look into maybe who's the perfumer. That's a really good thing to do. Look at some of the other fragrances maybe the perfumers made. It is good to go to Fragrantica. You got to take Fragrantica reviews with a grain of salt because anybody, any Joe Blow on the street can make a review on Fragrantica. They don't have to validate that they purchased the fragrance. They don't have to validate that they own a bottle. Like take a picture of it with their review connected to. But anyways, uh, you got to take them with a grain of salt. Fragrantica is a really good source of information. When I first started getting into fragrance, I depended on Fragrantica, and I've written over like 100 reviews on Fragrantica. You probably could still find me there. I'm Centaur. I don't review fragrances on there as much as I used to, but the thing is, it's always risky business. For me, one out of every three fragrances I blind buy is probably not something I love, and I end up giving it as a gift or end up selling it. I try to never blind buy an expensive fragrance unless you have very, very deep pockets and you can risk to lose as much as 50% of your purchase with trying to resell it. Because not only have you unboxed the fragrance, you broke the seal, you unboxed it, but you also sprayed it, and it's considered a used product. A lot of people don't like to hear stuff like that. It's just like a used car. You can buy a brand new car off the lot, and once you drive it off the lot, even if the car only has 1 mile on, the odometer, you just have 1 mile on that car. You still think it's a brand new spanking car, and let's say for some big reason you want to sell it, it's considered a used car. You drove it off the lot. Even though it's still a brand new car and it still has a lot of value, you've lost, I don't know, let's say it's a truck and that truck cost you 50,000, 55,000. You already lost 5,000. Just because you drove it off the lot. That's the truth about it. So it all depends on if you have deep pockets and you don't have to worry. You might not even care that you bought a cheapie and you don't like it. You might give it to your cousin. You might give it to your best friend. It all depends on your budget. So it's all a risk. It's all a big a big risk. So I like to look into the notes, and that's one thing I love to do. That's the biggest thing for me. Looking into the notes, I start to learn what kind of styles of fragrances I like, and I think that's the best way to go about it. Let me see here. Guess Indigo smells great to me. I like the coconut vibe. That's what I got to do. We're having a great conversation, but I got to unbox this for y'all. I have heard lots of good things about this one as a great summer cheapie, so we're definitely going to chat about this one. Let me see here. Dean says, "How do you find partial bottles? Never seem to find these on eBay." Oh, what you can do? You go to the filter. I don't know if you know about this, Dean. What you do is you go on eBay, you search what you're searching for, and then at the top right there'll be like a scroll bar, and there'll be like three options. It'll give you all kinds of different options. It'll ask like item condition, and that's what you want to go for. You can change the price range. And a whole bunch of different things, but you got to go and change the item condition to used, and that's how you find your used bottles. You can just search, just type in fragrance and look at every fragrance under the moon, that's about to sell, pretty recently. But the best way to go about it is to filter things and find exactly what you want. And if you're also looking for a really rare fragrance or a really desirable fragrance, you can also save that on your phone, on my app. At least I can, and you save that alert to your phone, and you can get an email, or I think possibly even a text message whenever somebody uploads a listing that has those keywords. I recently lost a bid. I got very close to winning it. I should have won it. I should have tried harder. But I really want to get a bottle of Wolfsbane by Cortana, which is a very daring, dark, earthy, floral, animalic scent. I really want it, but it's definitely a niche fragrance. Please don't go blind buying that fragrance because I like it. It's a weird one. Um, Anyways, let me catch up with the comments. Look at Creed. People in the fragrance world know of it, but the average person, they don't know about the brand. Sales were down and let them with no choice. No choice. I think what you meant is but to sell the company. I agree. Aventus was a golden child. Aventus was what kept was keeping the company alive. Honestly, I don't want to harp on Creed again. I've talked a lot about Creed in the past, but if you look at their fragrances, even in the fragrance community, original Santal was met as kind of mixed or is not very popular at all. Everybody talked about Mont Blanc Individual as a cheaper alternative. Original Vetiver kind of got it was pretty unpopular as well. A lot of people suggested a lot of better vetiver fragrances than original vetiver. I personally don't like original vetiver at all, and I do like some fresh citrusy vetiver fragrances. And I've seen original vetiver go for ridiculously cheap. Like I've seen some people try to get rid of them for like $100. I mean, for a Creed fragrance, that's super cheap. And I've seen original Santal go pretty cheap, like 120, $140 before. Um, the thing is with Creed that there's going to be a lot of changes with the company. I don't. I'm hoping that they're not going to try to price gouge us. They're when they revamp the company. That might happen. They might relabel, they might rebottle a lot of things, and they might be charging people even more money. We'll have to see if things get better or if they get worse. I'm hopeful that they get better. I hope that they've listened to some of my advice. I put it out there a couple times. I think that they need to focus on their top sellers, of course, Aventus, but also Virgin Island water. A lot of people love Virgin Island water. It's one of their most popular fragrances, and aquatic fragrances are always sell very well. I think that they need to have a lower end line, like a white line or a clear bottle line that's all based on aquatic or fresh fragrances. And I think that Aventus needs to be in there, and maybe they could make Aventus even more fresh. The thing is, they need. I think it needs to be based not on Aventus. I don't think we need a bunch of flankers based on Aventus. I think we need a bunch of flankers based on Virgin Island water, based on tropical vacation places like Madagascar and Tahiti, and beautiful places that people would want to travel to, like an Italian one, like a Mediterranean one, and all these kind of places, and it'd be really really fun. I don't know if they're going to take my advice. Again, I'm just a fragrance reviewer. I do wish that some of these companies would hire me because I have darn good ideas. And you go on the news and you listen to all these companies who are run by all of these people who are really ideological. I'm not saying that Creed is, but if you just go on the news in general, there's all these companies, you see their commercials and you see what they're doing to the companies, and a lot of these companies are tanking and failing because they got people who are running their advertising and running their company who don't care about, the bottom line, their customers, the profits, and how to run the company. And maybe that's what happened with Creed. I don't know what happened with Creed. They had so much potential. They were the king of niche. They were the biggest company on the scene. If you were a fragrance reviewer back in the day, I'll say it again, that you weren't seen as a big fragrance reviewer unless you had a bottle of green Irish tweed. People wouldn't take you seriously, and it used to be like the gold standard. Like you actually have something special, and you have a good collection because you have green Irish tweed. I don't think that way, but back in the day, green Irish tweed was a big deal. It was like a Ventus kind of in its own little way, and everybody used to protect and talk about Creed. And there's still some fragrance reviewers who have good memories of Creed and don't like to hear about how Creed has changed and what's happened to Creed because Creed has kind of fallen from grace. Um, even with their new releases, Viking had very lukewarm reception. Viking didn't sell very well at release or just in general. Aventus Cologne, I don't think did very well. I know that I put out very mixed reviews or very salty reviews on Aventus Cologne. I think it was a bad release, to say the least. So, big changes are happening. Big changes for sure. Um, Claire just finished up, so now moving on to here. Hey Wayne, thank you for stopping by. I was honestly on Claire's live, and I was like, I scheduled this for 6 p.m., but I was enjoying being over there on Smurfy Girly, Claire's live. I was having a good time hanging out. She has a good thing going. I love Claire's personality, and she's always a joy to hang out with. So I was over there too, but I had to jump on here for y'all. But let me see here. I'm rural, and nowhere to sample near me. Lucky Scent helps me more with more expensive niche, as I can't sample many of interest. I'm the same way, Wayne. I'm in more of a rural place. I'm not anywhere near a big city, big boutiques, where I can get samples or smell all of these things for free. I don't live in New York City. A lot of people, a lot of us might not want to live in New York City right now because of what's going on, but a lot of the fragrance reviewers who live in New York City or some of these huge big cities like Dubai, or some of these huge major cities in the world like London, or Paris, France, have a big leg up with getting exclusive fragrances or having easy access to high end niche fragrances. Sadly, I have to pay out of pocket for all of my samples and to try everything I've smelled most of the time. So that's how it goes. You mentioned at the beginning of one of your favorite Aventus clones. What was the name? Napoleon Cologne by Zoha. I'll type it in here. That's probably my favorite so far. I'll type it in here for y'all real quick. Let me see. Is it gonna let me do it? No, it's not letting me. It's not letting me do it. Anyways, it's Napoleon Cologne. Feel free to message me on Instagram Messenger or Facebook, and I'll message you. I'll let you know. Anyways, do you think that Guess Fragrances is going to smell similar to Virgin Island water? Both contain coconut. No, it could. Let's try it. We've got to the point. I don't want to keep y'all begging. I don't want to keep the suspense going for too long. But here's the bottle, brand new and sealed. I haven't opened it yet. First impressions for you guys. So let's open this one. So. And again, it's supposed to be a really good cheapie. I got it for less than $20, shipped to my door. So I'm hoping that's a good one. The bottles are kind of nice. I like the little presentations on them. So here we go, guys. There's the juice. There it is. Oh, it's got the cap's actually. Is it metal? I think I think it's a thin layer of metal, and the inside's plastic. That's interesting. It does make it look nice, like brushed steel. I wish the whole cap was actual steel, but that's kind of a nice touch. Uh, sticks on there. When fragrances have been in storage for a while, the alcohol will start burning off and some of the top notes, and that's what's going on there. Um, if you have to pump it a couple times, it still means it's brand new. So, see, it hasn't been sprayed, so I'm pumping it. Okay. Let's see. This is gonna sound really weird, guys, but this fragrance has a tiny bit of that. I've smelled it in a couple fragrances, some aquatics. It's used to fortify or make the fragrance actually have more body and last longer. But there's this odd little spicy accord. It goes away. It blends with the rest of the fragrances. But if you have a nose that picks up on things and you're really picky, I notice for the first couple seconds there's a little bit of spice. So, and it's in the background, but it's pretty coconut heavy. I don't think it smells like Virgin Island water at all. This is a very pleasant, sweet coconut fragrance. It does smell aquatic. I do get that really weird spiciness out of the fragrance a little bit. But my nose is very picky. I'm suspecting that the spiciness will die down. But it's kind of weird in the opening. I get some spice, a very sweet coconut, some aquatic nature. It's sweet. It's not too heavy. It's nice, but it's not as citrusy I was hoping as it would be. I was hoping that it would be like Virgin Island water. It's not bad. It smells nice. For less than $20, shipped to your door, for a full size bottle, a 100 ml, 3.4 ounce. I still have to test this. Y'all know I'm going to test it for y'all before I do a review, but I'm probably going to give it a pretty good review. I don't know if I'm going to rate it as highly as some people rate it, but it's pretty solid. If you want coconut on a budget and something that's more of an aquatic fragrance, it's not bad. It's kind of in the same family as stuff like Nautica Voyage, in my opinion. The Nautica Voyage smells of better quality. I don't know why. Nautica Voyage for the money. It smells like really good quality. I don't know how or why Nautica Voyage does what it does, and but this one kind of is in the same ballpark. Easygoing, playful, fresh, casual kind of wear. And if you're a masculine guy, always been wanting a coconut, you might like this because it's a coconut you can probably wear besides for Virgin Island water. Which on my, I don't know if you let me know. Have y'all smelled Virgin Island water before? I get like 3 or maybe 4 hours out of that fragrance. I've heard some people say they get 6 hours, they get 7 hours, but I get 3 hours like performance out of Virgin Island water. I like it. I think it smells good. I think it's a good composition, but I think it should be like 3 or 4 times as strong as what it is. I get like no projection. It lasts 3 or 4 hours. So, um, YouTube gave me a notice. Says welcome to the live chat and reminded me of the community standards. Hmm. Indigo has coconut water in it. You're very right, Mr. Cheap. Since it definitely has coconut and coconut water, it smells kind of fresh. It doesn't really have a lot of citrus. I was hoping that there would be citrus, but it's really easy going. And the thing is, this is the first time I've sprayed this fragrance. When you get a brand new fragrance, you also have to give it a day or two with a little bit of the air, and then the fragrance kind of, especially, it depends on the fragrance, but it needs a little bit of time with some air to kind of mature. Um, and that's probably this fragrance is going to get better. You know, the first time you ever buy a fragrance, if it's never been sprayed before, the first couple sprays might not smell that great, and then after a couple days, the fragrance it'll mature a little bit and get a little bit better. I don't get great performance out of Virgin Island water, but it smells great. I feel the same way. Virgin Island water smells really good, and it's kind of like the quintessential vacation fragrance. It smells perfect. If you're on a budget, and honestly, for the money, getting Saint Bart's by Tommy Bahama is probably the better way to go. I talked about that fragrance pretty highly. I think I'm going to do another review of it to let y'all know about that fragrance again here in 2020. I think that Saint Bart's is a great fragrance for the money for like 20 bucks. It's not the most natural fragrance. If you're a big niche nose, you're probably going to be annoyed that I'm suggesting a $20 cheapy fragrance to the people. But it's a good fragrance. It smells good. It gets you good reactions, and it doesn't last the longest either. It might give you 5 hours of performance, but hey, for 20 bucks for to get 5 hours of something that smells like good tropical, easygoing vibes, pina colada vibes, hey, it's a good fragrance. Wayne Morris says, I'm more interested in collecting frags from a perfumer and Nick Monardo being a real fragrant. I think, Wayne, I think I was the one talking to you about Zurius Rouge by Givenchy. A fantastic, beautiful, gentlemanly fragrance. If you want a classy, playful fragrance with a cactus note, I think that Zurius Rouge, it is more of a fougere fragrance, but it's like a modern fougere. If you always wanted a fougere, I think a lot of people need to get their noses on that fragrance. And also, I think that if you like the smell of cactus, or if you're around people who like the smell of cactus, I think it smells really unique and really fresh. And I've gotten a really good reactions and from Zurius Rouge, really good stuff. The only coconut fragrance I have is Jean Paul Gaultier's how do you say that? Le Ball? But I assume that these are nothing like that. I haven't tried that one from Jean Paul Gaultier. That I think that one has fig as well. I should try it. I don't know what I'm going to think about it. Honestly, I've never found a Jean Paul Gaultier that I love. I thought that the Essence was a pretty good cardamom fragrance. It was kind of like Jean Paul Gaultier's attempt at making a La Nuit de l'Homme type of fragrance by Yves Saint Laurent. But I liked Ultramall is a really good fragrance. It's young and it's playful. I thought In the Navy was a pretty solid, mass appealing fragrance. Honestly, I gave that one to my brother for Christmas. And I want to try the Aviator, but so far, for some reason, and I don't know why, Jean Paul Gaultier hasn't been a big love for me. Mr. Cheap Scent says St. Bart's is very good for the price. Set sail. Martinique is one of my favorite cheapies also. Oh yes, Martinique is a hidden gem. It's more of like a green fragrance, but it's not a dark fragrance at all, but it's a little bit of a departure from the fresh aquatic fragrances that most Tommy Bahamas are. It's got a little bit more richness and it's a little bit more complex, and it also has better longevity than the others. But it is more of a slightly green fragrance. But Martinique is really good for the money, in my opinion. It is a different fragrance, but it's somewhat similar to Cool Water by Davidoff. But Martinique is a really good fragrance. If you wanted something different than Cool Water, maybe you ran out of your bottle, maybe you want something a little bit different. It's in that same ballpark as Davidoff Cool Water, and that Tommy Martinique is really good for the money. It's ridiculously cheap too, so really check it out. And Saint Bart's, good stuff. You're very right, Mister Cheap Sense. Very right. Wayne Morris says, yes, we're talking about Zurius Rouge. Zurius Rouge, love that stuff. And I was happy to see Joy Amin actually talk about that fragrance. Joy Amin did a head-to-head. I think it was Davidoff Hot Water and Zurius Rouge. And I didn't know he had Zurius Rouge. And I'm happy that he did that comparison. And he said that Davidoff Hot Water was the better value. But he said that, for him, that he really liked the Zurius Rouge. He would wear that one. It's the better smelling fragrance and the better quality fragrance. And shout out to Joy Amin. He's a cool guy over there. I think he's from India. I forget, but I think he's from India. There's a lot of really good people out there. Even bigger reviewers that a lot of people you might not even know of them, and they're big reviewers. I don't know if y'all have ever seen Exotic Scents. He's another guy. I think he's from India. He talks more about ouds and attars, but he's a pretty big fragrance reviewer. But he just doesn't get a lot of talk as well. So there are so many good content creators. Hopefully I'm considered one of them. I'm grateful for all of your support and your friendship, guys. But let me see here. Anique Minardo, yeah, she made that one. OJ Purr, fantastic fragrance. It's a pretty incensey, pretty spicy fragrance, but and it's I don't know if is that considered a fougere or is it considered an oriental. Anyways, J Purr is one. It smells like a gentleman. It is a little bit old school, perhaps, but J Purr is one of the best fragrances out there for the money too. Really good stuff. Not sure where Joy's from, but he's currently in Bangladesh. Yeah, for sure. And I definitely wish him the best out there in Bangladesh. That's one of the places in the world, especially with the corona, what's going on, and politics wise. We're not going to talk about politics here on my channel. I focus on fragrance, but there's a lot that's going on over there in Bangladesh and those kinds of places. A lot of turmoil. So, hey Ben, hey everyone, hey there, Centralize. How you doing, my friend? What you wearing? This fragrance here, I'm testing this one, and we're just hanging out, chatting about fragrance. So it's nice. It's not the most unique fragrance. I don't know if I'm gonna keep my hands on this one. I don't know if I'm gonna keep in the collection. Honestly, I might give this one away as a gift as well. But it's good. It's good for the money. I'm just uber picky. When you get a lot of fragrances in your collection and you've smelled high-end niche and even really good cheapies, you might get really, really picky. I don't know if I'm going to keep this one around for myself, but it's a good fragrance for the money. So, Wood Sage and Sea Salt by Joe Malone. It's a good one. That's probably my favorite from Joe Malone. Hey, Mark. Yep. Hey, Mark and Centralize. Joe Malone's Wood, Sage, and Sea Salt is probably my favorite from their normal line. I need to try the bronze wood, and I think it was bronze wood and leather, and there was one like called Tonka and Myrrh. I actually kind of lowballed a guy on eBay one time for the Tonka and Myrrh one. He was selling it, and I think it was used, and it's a dark bottle, so I guess I was being suspicious. I'm like, I don't know how much juice is in there, and I'll just see if he wants to sell it for cheap. And he definitely rejected my offer. So, but Joe Malone has some decent fragrances, but most of the most popular or the most easily accessible Joe Malones, I thought not only have I not liked the quality was all right, but they were really simple fragrances. They smelled more almost like herbal, like really natural in an odd way, and the longevity was bad, like 4 hours or so on those Joe Malones. So you got to be careful with Joe Malones. They don't have good longevity overall, but the Wood Sage and Sea Salt does smell nice. It is a really good smell, but be aware that you might get 3 or 4 hours out of it. It smells good. It's probably the best out of the bunch for the EDTs. I really, again, I want to try the darker bottles, but I'm sure I will. It was an offer on Notino. I need to try more. I need to get into Notino. I bought most of my fragrances from Fragrance Net, and I bought some from Fragrance by CA. I bought some from Twisted Lily back in the past, and I bought a few bottles from Lucky Scent. But there's a bunch of new brands on the scene. People who are trying to be retailers. Y'all saw my recent big collaboration with Fragrance Group. I'm very lucky. I'm very grateful for them for working with me, and maybe I'll get to work more with them in the future. But I'm definitely going to do reviews of those fragrances soon. So let me see here. What's the name of that guest fragrance? This one is 1981 Indigo. This is the blue one. Indigo, Digo. It's the blue one. There's a regular 1981. I think that's more of a tan or a yellow juice. That's not the one. This is the indigo. This is the coconut aquatic one. So it's really easy going. It's really nice. It's really casual. If I was to suggest a fragrance for a younger guy, for a playful, easygoing, mass appealing fragrance that can get you compliments with decent longevity for 20 bucks or less, honestly, again, I'm gonna sound really, really lame. Nautica Voyage, just about every time. Let me see here. Let me catch up with the comments. Joe Malone, Pomegranate Noir is great. I haven't tried the Pomegranate Noir. I really do need to try it. Um, it sounds nice. I like the smell. I like the taste of pomegranates. I suppose that would be a really deep, dark red, like wine-like smell. Maybe like cranberries. I bet that would smell nice, like a pomegranate. Boisé de Sadre, Carl Lagerfeld. I don't remember if I've tried that one. The wood of the cedar, I think that means, or cedar wood, or something like that. I need to try that one. I don't remember trying it. Good spring and summer scent. Okay, I might have to try it out. I still need to catch up with a lot of fragrances, but I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm caught up with most of the designers I want to try or want to buy, and I personally can finally start feeling like I can, just start sampling or maybe buying some of the new releases of designer fragrances whenever they go cheap. Like I don't have to dive into the ones from the past, or I can start focusing on niche fragrances. So Notino had to stop in the U.S. due to Chanel's lawsuits. I heard that. I wasn't sure if it was Chanel or Dior, but they control their supply and their copyright of their name extremely heavily. And if you mess with them, they'll mess with you. So that's why you don't see a lot of decants of their fragrances too often. And I don't think you can really get away with selling their fragrances, on the gray market, discontinued, or anything like that. They really want to protect their name. They want to be exclusive. They want you to have to like walk into their store or buy from them directly to be able to get their fragrances. It's all about branding. So the funny thing is, I don't have anything against Chanel because they did that. I mean, for example, Creed going after decanters because they would buy the flacons and resell their fragrances. I have a problem with that because if you don't want that to happen, don't sell the flacons. Just in general, you can't really criminalize or shoot lawsuits at people for doing decants of your fragrance. I have a big problem with that, but I don't have a problem with Chanel or Dior trying to control their supply line and not really ever selling their fragrances on the cheap. I don't have a big problem with that. But the funny thing is, I'm not a big fan of most of their fragrances in general. I think Eau Sauvage was great. They have, a couple good fragrances from the past, but most, especially with the Chanel's, their exclusive line. I don't really care for a lot of the new Chanel exclusive line that a lot of people seem to really like. I've tried a lot of them, or most of them, and some of them I just actually one of them called Boy I think is ridiculous. I don't like the smell or the name. Who wants to wear a fragrance called Boy and spray it on yourself? Like people ask, like, "Hey, what are you wearing today?" I'm wearing Boy. Boy? Are you? I'm not a boy. I'm a man, and I want to smell like a darn good man too. So, yeah, I don't mess with Chanel fragrances for the most part. But Guerlain's got some good stuff going. Some of the older Chanel's are good. I like Eau Sauvage and Platinum Egoist. But a lot, I don't mess with those houses that much, honestly. Let me see here. Performance is lacking. Yeah. Do you have any Armani Code in the collection? Honestly, I don't. I really need to try the new Absolute and the new Gold. After I try those, I might be converted to actually getting one. I think Armani Code smells good, but it didn't. It's a compliment getter and it has pretty good longevity. But the Armani Code Profumo, it just didn't appeal to me. It really didn't change a lot, and it just went really quickly to the bass notes. And I wanted something that had a little bit more complexity. I'm sorry about the dogs fighting back there, but um, I don't know. Maybe I'll like the Absolute or the new Gold edition, but we'll see. We'll see if I actually like them or not. But better than the average summer cheapies. Yeah, no, I can see that. I'll have to try it out. I'll have to see what I think. Your thoughts on Le Homme Ultime? I'm kind of curious to know if you already have a bottle, if you're not, if you're going to be offended by my opinion, or if you just heard all the hype. There's a huge amount of hype behind El Homme Ultime. It's a mass appealing fragrance. There's no doubt about it. It has a really nice blue mass appealing vibe to it. But the thing, in my opinion, about Old Team, not only is it discontinued, and not I haven't looked at the prices recently, but if the prices aren't high on Old Team, at this point, the prices of Old Team are going to get ridiculous as a discontinued Yves Saint Laurent fragrance. But I personally don't like the smell of Old Team. I thought it was far too powdery. I am sensitive to powder, but I did think that Old Team was fairly powdery. It is mass appealing. It will get you compliments. I actually passed up on a slightly used bottle from a Hudson's, and I could have got it from a Steel for like 25 or 30 bucks. I think it's nice as a compliment getter, but it's pretty safe. It's kind of like one of these fragrances, super safe, super inoffensive, kind of sweet, kind of playful. Again, for the younger guy out there, for the guy who just wants compliments, who wants to spend on the cheap, who wants to smell really mass appealing and get compliments. I think Nautica Voyage is super hard to beat. That's just my opinion, though. Nautica Voyage is kind of like the golden child for cheapies, for that kind of thing. But if you like powdery notes, if you like things that are kind of powdery and kind of fluffy and have that kind of aspect, and if you want a really mass appealing aquatic, you might like Old Team. But I'm not gonna buy a bottle for certain, so it's not me. But I know some people out there really, really like the fragrance. So it's heavy on the citrus, but the vetiver is very nice and clean and grassy. I do like grassy. I haven't tried that one yet, though. Dean, for me, you have to like oregano. I do. It's not for everyone. Yeah, oregano is like one of those herbal notes like rosemary or basil. And it can have a lot of character. It can definitely, it's an acquired taste. Oh, and like tarragon and, well, there was another one. Anyways. Sorry about that. Anyways, Interlude Man. Are you asking about Interlude Man? I think I might have tried it. I need to revisit it. I've only tried it like once. I think that's the one that has rose, and a lot of guys seem to like it, but some people get mad because it was hyped, and I think they blind bought it, and it is kind of rosy and kind of unisex and kind of metro. I think that's the one. If that's the one you're thinking about, I I think that's what I remember. Sounds like a winner. Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad at all. Ben, you're the best. Thanks, man. My wife says dinner's ready. Gotta run. Keep up the great work. Hey, Mark. Have fantastic food. That's definitely nice that you have a spouse or a companion that helps you out like that. So good eat, my friend. And thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the friendship, and thanks for hanging out with me. It means a lot. I don't know if this sounds good to you. Let me know. Everybody, let me know, how's this fragrance sound. I'm gonna do a review of it. I'm gonna speak probably fairly positively about it, but it's gonna be another fragrance that I probably don't love. I'm, but it's not bad. As it dries down, it becomes the coconut comes through, and it becomes a little bit more airy and a little bit more fluffy, and the dense kind of sweetness it's still sweet. Don't get me wrong, but that dense sweetness kind of goes away a little bit, and that spicy vibe definitely went away. That's what was bothering me. For the first 10 minutes or so or whatever, there was this spicy vibe that was really throwing me off. I don't know what kind of synthetic note that's used in this. Maybe it gives it better longevity. But for the first 10 minutes, this is this is an aquatic almost blue, sweet coconut fragrance, and then there's this piercing sweet vibe thrown in there. I don't know if it's some kind of synthetic clove-like molecule to get it longevity. I don't know what was funny going on in that fragrance, but it's not bad. I'll have to see if it grows on me or not. But casual wears, easy vibes, summer vibes, pool party. That I mean, that'll definitely work for you. It'll definitely work. I have Le Homme and Ultime. I prefer Le Homme, easy dumb reach. Ultime is heavy on the ginger. I only tried Ultime once or maybe twice, so I don't remember the ginger honestly. But Le Homme is really nice for an easygoing, inoffensive scent. In my opinion, personally, the Guerlain Ideal Cologne is kind of like a better interpretation of that. And but I think the El Homme was the originator. It has that fresh, almost like vanillic rounded nature to it. I don't. It's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of like an aromatic with a body to it. El Homme by YSL is still a classic. It's easygoing. It's easy to wear, but maybe it's not the most complex fragrance, and it's kind of gotten a bad reputation for not having a lot of character, for not having a lot of personality. But if you're just going to the office, if you're being safe and casual and not wanting to beg for attention, it's still a good fragrance. I mean, nothing's wrong with it, and it was hit with a reformulation as well. I haven't tried the vintage. I've been tempted to buy a vintage, but it's so expensive. I don't know if I want to risk a blind buy on a vintage bottle of something that I might not absolutely love. So I don't know. What would Bruce Wayne wear? What would Bruce Wayne wear? That's an interesting question. When I think of Bruce Wayne Batman, I kind of think about a fragrance that might change. Like he has alternate side about him. Like maybe it's an aquatic and then it becomes dark. But sometimes I just think when I think Bruce Wayne, if I'm mixing it up, I'm hoping I'm not mixing it up with like Superman. I might be making a fool of myself. I don't think I am, but anyways, um, I think he would wear something that is maybe a little bit mysterious and I don't know, maybe something a little bit brooding. Maybe something weird like Lolita Limpica Pour Homme. Maybe something that changes to be a little bit dark on the darker side. Um, Maybe like Encre Noir Sport. I'm not sure. That's kind of dark. That's kind of fresh at first, and maybe Encre Noir Sport would be a good version of fragrance for him. Batarat Rouge. Batarat. Yeah, I think a hero to fragrance video would be fun. I might have to try that. There is a lady. I'm trying to remember her name. I can picture her face. She's really cool. I can't remember her name of her channel right now, but she's done some fragrances like for certain like I think for Harry Potter and The Office and some things. And I actually thought about doing those, but I don't I didn't know if that would be popular to do those kind of videos. I probably I should do some of that more often. Just something fun and witty. So Jamie Cook's Zoologist by Bat. Yeah, well, it's a bat fragrance that maybe that's for him when he's brooding or maybe when he's older. I don't know. I don't. That's funny though. You hit the nail on the head there. Dark Phantom would work by Killian. There's a lot of good fragrances that could work for something like that. Let me catch up. Well played, my brother. On guard. Let me see here. That would be fun. A fun subject. I might have to do that. I like the channel. Covers things off the beaten path. Yeah, I like to explore fragrances. I'm not one of these guys just doing a top 10 list, throwing Sauvage and Aventus and, really popular fragrances at you like Prada El Homme. I think it's good to, so if there's a younger guy or somebody who's just getting into fragrance and they just want to smell good and they just want to hear about some really big, hard-hitting, mass-appealing fragrances, and they want to hear a little bit about what they can buy at their local mall because they're probably going to buy from Dillard's or Macy's or whatever. I don't think that's a bad thing. I get annoyed at some of these fragrance reviewers because they're doing the same videos over and over, and they know people are searching for those fragrances, and because YouTube really likes top 10 videos, so they're really playing the game and playing the system. But you can't. I mean, it annoys me and it bothers me. But if it works, it's working. What they're gonna do is, it's all supply and demand, just like with money, just like anything in the world. They're gonna saturate the market so heavily. And eventually, it might get to the point where those videos really don't work, and then they might have to rethink what they're doing and actually be more creative or actually do individual reviews. But they're going to keep, if it keeps working, if it keeps getting them the views, doing the top 10 list, and keep talking about the Aventus, the Sauvage, the Prada El Homes, and any of those mass appealing fragrances. They're just going to keep spinning it. They're going to spin it and spin it and spin it, and they're not going to stop. So that's how it goes. That's how it goes. All geeks are cool. Hey, I guess I'm an undercover geek. I guess I like to read books. I get pretty passionate about topics. I get into, I remember when I was in high school or just in school, and I mean, even if it was something that somebody was passionate about and I actually didn't dislike it, I studied a lot of things and I could hold a pretty good conversation with people about anything. I actually talked to a guy one time, and he worked in the concrete industry, and I like to make conversation. I like to learn, and I like to be friends with people. So I was asking him how they made the concrete, and I'd read and I'd heard somewhere that limestone was a big component. So I was asking him, I'm like, do they still use like limestone, and like what goes into making the concrete these days? And he was really surprised because most people don't think about that and care about that. So yeah, it's nice to be geeky. I'm geeky about everything. If I get into it, fragrance. I'm geeky sometimes into books. I'm a big knife enthusiast, and hobbies like that. So yeah, I definitely. Some people might joke and say big brain complex because you like to learn or whatever. So saw your crush video and liked that Flora Jansen was a part of it. Oh yeah, she's a stunner. She's a knockout. She's definitely one of those gals. Metal girl. On other Nightwish singers, what would you Tarja wear, or Annette? I never know how to say her last name. Oizon. Uh, Tarja Therun. She was the original singer. I'm a big Nightwish fan. If y'all don't know, they're a metal band, a symphonic rock kind of metal band, and they're from Finland, and they're absolutely wonderful. I love their style. I love their music. I love their passion. And I think Tarja might wear that something sing-songy. I heard the warble of her voice and her very interesting accent to me would make me think of a fragrance that kind of flutters and has really good longevity, and kind of flutters and goes along. I really don't know. I probably would go with like Mugler, maybe Mugler Angel, one of the new ones. There's like a sensual version, maybe one of those. Or I usually try to Google and think a little bit more on these things, but something a little, maybe something powdery and maybe something a little bit darker. I could see her maybe wearing Tom Ford, maybe the Noir or the Noir de Noir, or maybe something like that. She definitely could pull off something like that. I love Tarja. I think that she sings some of the original Nightwish songs better than Floor, but Floor's wonderful and does a wonderful job as well. So, Annette, really hard question. I don't know what I would fragrance her with. She wasn't in the band for very long, and probably was my least favorite, even though she was nice and all. Um, I, I don't know. She makes me think of like a punk rock girl kind of fragrance. There's one by Lolita Limpica called like Rock or Rock Girl or something like that. It's like pink and black. I think that she might wear something like that, kind of licoricey, a little bit dark, a little bit interesting, or maybe the Encre Noir Pour Femme. There's like a Lee Law version of Encre Noir that's for ladies. She might like that one. So, anyways, let me catch up with the comments. Jamie says, Gents since gave you a call out. He really liked your backyard. I know, I saw that. I saw that in his shout out video. It really impressed me. It made me it made my day, and I really liked that. He was really cool. He's really nice. A lot of people joke and say that Ash over there, Jensen's his fragrance Jesus, and Ash is pretty cool. I think a lot of people give him a hard time and I don't think he really deserves it. I'm not going to name names, but there are some people who are just doing top 10 list, kind of regurgitating things. But he's doing a good job over there. I don't think that he deserves a hard time at all. I still think that Red Essence is doing a great job. Some people dislike it that he has his own fragrance and he's still reviewing fragrances, and they kind of give him a hard time. If you're going to go after anybody and give anybody a hard time, and again, I think that we should be more constructive criticism than actually trying to tear people down or throw curse words at people. But I don't know why. Why don't you go criticize Jeremy Fragrance? I mean, he said plenty of things. Just about every couple videos he says something that's quite a statement and quite sometimes kind of crazy. But I don't hate Jeremy Fragrance. He's done a lot of good for the fragrance world, but I mean, I have a lot of differences, and I'm not salty, I'm not bitter, but again, with the fragrance community, I still am really I guess I'm bothered not with Jeremy, but the fragrance community as a whole, because Jeremy made a video. He does these hot takes. He actually deleted the video, and he did a video and said, why you shouldn't wear the fragrances that you love. It was he watches a lot of channels. I don't know if he does anymore, but he used to, and he actually watches channels. And he made essentially an attack video or a counter video to my new motto that I made, which is called "Wear What You Love." And he did make some good points. It is good to be responsible. If you're wearing 10 sprays of a heavy oud fragrance in the middle of summer, in a subway station or at the airport where you're choking people out, that's not responsible. That's not a good choice. That's not a good thing to do. But, he essentially was saying that you should trust his opinion and that you shouldn't really think for yourself, which really bothered me. He was essentially trying to establish his authority, and he thought that my motto, wear what you love, find fragrances that you truly love. And that's what my channel is about, helping you find a fragrance that you connect with. That's why I find so many unique fragrances, and I try to talk about so many different fragrances. And I think that's important in the fragrance community. We all could, wear Dior Sauvage. We could all wear Bleu de Chanel and smell really good. Nothing's wrong with Bleu de Chanel or Dior Sauvage. We could get compliments. We could all smell pretty darn good. But do we connect to that fragrance on a personal level? Do we feel like it's unique? Do we have fun with that fragrance? Does the fragrance work with our personal chemistry and all those kinds of things? That's what matters to me. And that's I don't want to rant anymore about that, but no, I think people give Gent Sense a hard time. Let me see here. Let me catch up with the comments. Fragrances are cool. Started this hobby a couple years ago. That's fantastic, Jamie. I've been into fragrance for probably, over 4 years or so now. I've been reviewing for like a year and a half or maybe more. So I'm happy to have you join my channel. Happy that you're with me. Jamie says fragrances are... Oh, yep. Surprised how popular it is. Fragrances is a big industry, but honestly, it's still in its infancy. Only I think they did a study, 3% of the population as a whole in the world maybe wears fragrances. So we're in a very small minority. If you have more than 5, especially if you have over 10 fragrances, you're in a very small minority. So this isn't the biggest hobby in the world. Everything from shoes to cars, even knives and outdoor survival, and there's all kinds of hobbies and different interests that are a lot bigger than fragrance. But fragrance is still there's a lot of people who are enthusiasts. There's a lot of people who are really passionate about fragrances, and I hope that I can be a part of that fragrance movement where a lot of people start wearing more fragrances, and a lot of people are really passionate about fragrances because, there's a lot of potential. Really think about it. The video games is huge. I mean, think about how big the makeup industry is, and think about that in compared to the perfume industry. The perfume industry is a speck. It's small compared to the beauty industry, very small. So there's a lot of room. There's a lot of potential. Let me see here. Passionate, it's a thing. Yeah, passionate for sure. What about Marco? He's I know who you're talking about. He's the is he considered the lead guitarist? He's the guy with the really long blonde hair. He's also sings. He does a couple songs. He did that song with the Phantom of the Opera, and I remember that he did a really good job. If I'm thinking of the right guy, I don't know who I would fragrance for him. I'd have to think about that. He's a really whimsical guy. I'd probably have to throw out something really weird, um, a Le Bon fragrance, like Idol or something, like something you might consider kind of unisex or maybe metro, but yet has this weird earthy vibe about it. I could picture him with something that smells maybe a little bit animalic and a little bit wild, but yet still has like a little playful fruity side to it. Anyways, I pre-ordered the new Nightwish Human Nature, but not sure when it'll arrive. With the current situation, yeah, with the Rona, yeah, Annette was very different from Tarja and Floor. Yeah, Annette was her own little vibe. I'm not trying to discredit Annette. She wasn't my style, but she was nice, and she was honestly more of like a space filler. She kind of filled the space before they found somebody else, but still appreciate her. She still did her own thing, and she had an interesting vibe for sure. Huge fan of Ashton. I like that he's not afraid to give his opinion, not sitting on the fence. Yeah, for sure. I think he does kind of a similar thing that I do, or we do as well. Both of us do. We kind of try to be not as opinionated about the fragrance until the end of the video. We try to introduce the fragrance, give you, what the fragrance smells like, the longevity, tell you about how the fragrance feels, and then we'll hit you with our personal opinion maybe at the end of the video. But we definitely want you to try your own, try the fragrance and get your own opinion. We don't want you to just blindly, if I don't like a fragrance, I still want you to try it. I still want you to get your own opinion of the fragrance because you might absolutely love it. But it is good to have a referencing point. If you know what I like and what I dislike, it's good to know. Have that as a basis for kind of launching. You're exploring fragrances. Some of them you might be more interested in, or some of them you might be less interested in, depending on how I react to them. So, and I appreciate that, of course. So. um, yeah, no sitting on the fence for sure. I've tried to be really neutral in the past and not even give my opinion, but I feel like I need to give my opinion at the end because people need to know a little bit about why I feel the way that I do. And that's what I'm going to do. So I don't understand why people would be hating YouTubers or their content. Don't watch it if you don't like it. Well, Ronald, I don't know if you know about just, I don't know, people in general, especially in YouTube world. There's a few people, a very vocal minority here, especially in the fragrance community, who don't want YouTubers, I guess in general. They don't want them to have monetization. They think that's evil. They think that if you try to make a business or have any, launch yourself into an industry or, become, an actual YouTuber where you actually make a living off of YouTube, they think that that's somehow like evil or wrong or like cheating people, and they get really passionate, really vocal about it. And there's a few reviewers who throw around a lot of cuss words and a lot of accusations, and there's people who just like to troll as well. So it's not always peaches and cream in the world, but yeah, some people it's ego. Some people have a sense of morality that's very different, and they try to push their ideology onto other people. And some people, for some reason, just like to have fun. They think it's fun to troll. And there's always going to be on the internet. It's the Wild West. You got to have a thick skin for the internet. You don't know if these people actually dislike you for moral reasons. You don't know if these people are jealous of you. They hate you. They don't. You don't know if they if you bother their ego because they see you're successful or you're rich or something like that. Or maybe they just want to pull your chains and give you a hard time because they think it's fun. There's weird people out there. I bounced around the community. I stick with the channels that review things interesting and maybe not just what's popular. Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't have anything against popular fragrances. I wear some popular fragrances and I like some of them. But in my opinion, if you're a fragrance lover, if you're a fragrance enthusiast, you want to dive into not popular, you want to dive into more unique fragrances. You want to find what's undiscovered, what maybe something nobody's done a review of before, maybe something nobody's smelled before, and you want to experience all of the fragrances that you can possibly try and possibly find. Um, there's a lot of different motivations for different fragrance lovers. Some people get into the fragrance game because they want compliments. Some people want to get into the fragrance game because they want to have fun, just with projection. They want people to get notice them. Some people wear fragrances just because they want to be attractive to their partner. The majority of the reason, like 80% or 90% of guys out there buy fragrances, like, Dior Sauvage or the like, is because they want to be attractive to ladies, which is a big deal. And I'm not trying to discredit anybody, but lots of people have different reasons to wear fragrances. Um, I'm happy that you like my channel because I like to explore fragrances, not only for the art, for the passion of fragrances, but I like to hit all those things. I like to mention the compliment factor and the artistry, the history of the fragrance, and everything. So thank you for stopping by. Started with Jeremy. In all honesty, a lot of people do. If you search for fragrances, Jeremy's going to be number one. Even if you searched somehow, searched for one of my videos word for word, verbatim, it was your first video that you ever searched for on YouTube. Jeremy's more popular. And honestly, there's a guy called Alex Acosta and some of these big, men's health gurus, like menfluential people, and they sometimes throw out fragrance content, and they have big views because they have a million subs or multi millions of subs, and even though they're not a fragrance channel, they might get 500,000 views on a fragrance video, and the average guy is a lot more likely to see Alex Acosta talk about fragrances when he's just talking about designer fragrances and he really doesn't know a lot about them. And just telling you to smell good, to get positive attention from ladies, that's going to get, a lot of people are going to see that before they see me. So that's just how YouTube works. That's how it goes. When I first encountered Jeremy, I probably watched some of his videos here and there for a month or two, and I kind of quickly got, started watching other people. Some of when I and I only say that because I watched him during his heyday, probably during his best times, when he was really talking about like La Nuit de l'Homme and talking about some undiscovered fragrances that weren't so popular. And even though he was hyping some fragrances like La Nuit de l'Homme, it was a darn good fragrance, and a lot of guys needed to know about La Nuit de l'Homme because it was a really good fragrance, and it did get lots of results with ladies. So. But then, kind of regurgitating the content and, where he's at today, he really doesn't go out there and explore new fragrances that much. It's kind of the same old thing. So, let me see here. Jamie Chone, I think people can relate, including me. Yeah, I can relate to you. Demi Rollins helped. She does know what girls will like. Yeah, that guys watch Demi Rollins to know what kind of fragrance is a lady gonna like. You might, if you're a guy, you might go to Jeremy Fragrance to get a suggestion from a bro, and then people go to Demi Rollins maybe to get a suggestion from a lady, what ladies will like. So yeah, lots of people watch Demi. I'm not bashing them, but I have to be honest. I don't watch Jeremy, and I don't watch Demi. I don't watch Demi either. I'm sure she's a nice lady and all. I've heard that she's a nice lady and everything. I don't even want to get into it, but her content for the most part doesn't entertain me. Every once in a while, I might see a thumbnail and I might look at some of the fragrances in her list, but I probably have reviewed those fragrances or probably know more about those fragrances. At least it seems that way by my reviews. Maybe she knows a lot about fragrances. I really don't know if she does, but she kind of glosses over fragrances. She doesn't. Get deep into the details. So, George is fun. Fragrance Apprentice. George is awesome. George is legit. He's one of the guys who's actually being creative with his videos. He started that 50 fragrances in 3 minutes, and I'm gonna also jump on that tag. I don't think anybody's tagged me, but I'm gonna do that sometime. It's a really fun video. I think some of his fragrances are absolutely hilarious, and his film editing is absolutely gorgeous. He has talent in film and editing. He definitely needs to work in the film industry for certain. I think he does already. I think he has his own little company. But his T-Rex video, it didn't really talk too much about the fragrance, but he had a lot of fun with that video. His video about zoologist T-Rex was absolutely hilarious. I love George. George is a really cool guy. I think he's a cool guy. Lots of fun. So, anyone start the hobby through Scentbird? Honestly, a lot of my niche decants did come from Scentbird. I don't buy from them anymore. I caught up on most of the niche that I wanted at Scentbird, so they didn't really have a lot of selection that I actually wanted to try. That's kind of why I ended my subscription. Um, Scentbird is all right. In the past, they had huge problems. They really did. Their shipping wasn't legitimate. They weren't giving people refunds when they wanted them. Um, and they tried to appeal to average people. They're really making money off of selling designer fragrance decants to people, which they're essentially ripping people off. But I did a whole video about it. I mean, some people out there seem to like their service. They seem to want to pay that much, but I don't know. Maybe some of the people don't know that they could get a full size bottle for 20 or 25 bucks, and they're paying $15 for a decant for like 8 mils or something. It's sometimes it's absolutely absurd. So I don't want to get too much into it. Jet Sense did a good video on it. I think I did a pretty good video about Scentbird, how I felt about them. So I did the Canadian version, Centaur. Canadian version. What do you mean? Canadian version of Scentbird. I'm sorry, my voice. It was a great start, but I don't think I would recommend it to anyone knowing what I do now. Yeah, if you're getting into Scentbird, you got to mess with the niche. You're getting completely ripped off if you're getting designer fragrances, and honestly, some of their niche fragrances are just okay. They're not great. Uh, you have to go for the higher end niche fragrances to get your money's worth out of Scentbird. And I don't know if it's true, but somebody told me recently that they either up their prices for the subscription or they put them like on some kind of limit. Because when they first started, I know that a lot of people were either making money or kind of cheating them, because when they first put Roja Elysium out, which, it retail wise per, mil per mil or price per mil, it was like over $20. And Roja Elysium sold out super fast. And they had Elixir on there by Roja. They've had a couple good ones. They've had some Amouages from time to time. So let me see here. 24 bucks a month, you could buy the full bottles of some decants. That's very true. You're very right there. Scentbird is really ripping you off with some of those fragrances, especially if they're designers and they can be cheapies. Oh, you're investing. Oh, congrats, my friend. Hopefully, you're making some good. You're making some good money. Let me know how that goes. Maybe I need to follow your example, because, I need to work on that. I will be Bulgari Aqua Amara rich one day. Oh, did you invest? Did you stockpile on the 100 ml bottles and you're going to resell them? I bet you will make a lot of money. People are going to pay like crazy for those. People are still hyping and still talking about Amara. And I wish it wasn't so, but yeah, Amara's going to get ridiculous. People are going to be paying 150, 200, 250. I sold my bottle of Gucci Pour Homme 2 and my bottle of Aqua di Gio Essenza, but I could have probably held on to those and probably even made more money. But I let them go because people out there want them a lot more than I do. Discontinued fragrances are it can get ridiculous. Unless you're addicted to the fragrance and you can't live without it, there's no reason. There's really no reason. Alex Acosta and Alpha M. I don't even want to get into Alpha M. Yeah, Alex knows nothing. I don't even want to get into Alpha M. I don't understand why people consider him a guru. I don't want to bash the guy, but you look at him, and sure, he has some charm and he has some energy to him. I mean, he certainly has some of that energy. But if you look at him, he's kind of short. I don't think he's macho. He dresses kind of smart, but I think he just talks a big game. I don't understand why. I don't know. Maybe a lot of guys connect to him. I'm a guy, I don't connect to him. I'm 6 foot. I'm a little bit broad shouldered. I'm probably more of a heavy set guy. Sure, I could work on a lot of self improvement and maybe take advice from the guy in some ways. I know I need to improve my wardrobe, but like his personality and what he says about some stuff, I'm just like, I mean, I don't get why he has like millions of subs, but there's stranger things that have happened in the world. There's stranger things that have happened where people get absolutely crazy popular. So On fragrance, that is. Yeah, I agree. Alex Acosta, he's just making a video to appeal to people. He knows he's going to get the views. He knows people are probably going to buy from his affiliate links, and he's just going to call it a day. So yeah, Jeremy was very helpful and good designers. Yeah, he used to really explore designers and really review all the new and talk about the new releases and tell you which ones were good and which ones weren't. He doesn't really. I don't think he really dives and buys all the new, designer fragrances, and he doesn't really review. He gives you like really smart, comments. He tells you some, he makes it really quick and really fast, easy to digest, but he really doesn't review fragrances. And I don't know, maybe that's what people want. I'd like to review. Hopefully, y'all like me reviewing fragrances and getting a little bit deeper into the details. So I watched Demi with the, oh goodness. Has she taken that down? I only saw that because people told me about it and told me I needed to see it, and I don't want to criticize her. I don't want to seem like I hate her, but her subscriptions and her views and everything just jumped through the roof because of that, and that just goes to show you where we are on YouTube and the world. And I don't know if y'all pay attention to Twitch. Twitch is going through a lot of that as well. With YouTube. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't even want to get into that topic. I'm going to say stuff that I shouldn't say, positive or negative. So, thanks to Joey Canoli for getting me onto. Did Joey Canoli? Did he talk about that, or was that recently? Oh my goodness. I'm thinking some of the most popular are obviously eye candy. Yeah, that's a big part of it. I don't even want to say anything more. There's a couple fragrance reviewers who got onto the scene, and one of them, she's really attractive. I'm not even going to say her name, and she does really good content. Her editing and everything's really nice, but there's no doubt that some of these ladies are really popular because they're attractive, and that's just how the world goes. If they if they were put that same kind of content out there, and they were a guy like me and looked like me, they wouldn't get near as popular, and they wouldn't grow near as fast. That's just the truth of it. Ladies have that kind of advantage on guys, so that's how it works. Um, Let me catch up. Yeah, the 50 list was funny. Yeah, 50 fragrances in 3 minutes or 180 seconds. I'm gonna do that video. I think it's really fun. Leom, just stop. You don't like it? I don't love it. I'm not trying to hype it. I'm just saying it's a good casual frag, easy to wear, not inoffensive. Nothing special though. It's not special. I actually lost interest in Demi. I don't watch Demi anymore. I really don't. I used to try to watch some of her content, but I felt like y'all are gonna get me in trouble. But I felt like she was hyping Parfums de Marly way too heavy, and I felt like there wasn't a lot of content. A lot of the stuff was kind of repetitive, and I didn't feel like I was learning anything, honestly. And I really like learning about fragrances, so. There's so many top 10 lists with 4 to 5 Parfums de Marly fragrances I can handle. I'd like to be able to buy some of the recommendations. Parfums de Marlys are expensive. I don't own one. I really like Hobdon. That's probably my favorite. I think Latent Exclusive is pretty good. For mature men, I think Godolphin's underrated. But, I mean, you can get some of them on FragranceNet and get a good price on some of them. But they are expensive. I can see that. Again, my problem is that it was the same kind of content, 3, 4, 5 Parfums de Marly every top 10 list over and over and over, and hyping up the brand to no end. There's plenty of other good fragrance brands out there. There's plenty of other good fragrances, and I don't know. I don't even want to get into that because I don't know what it'll do for me and the fragrance community, but I don't know. Again, no, I won't even say that. I've already talked about something with a Dubai travel to a certain company. If you remember, you know what I'm talking about. And she made a video which actually addressed the topic in her title, but she didn't actually address the issue. So I don't want to get into it too much, though. Yes, top 10s. I blame Letterman. They seem to work. Am I too dark out here? I can go and switch that light on. If y'all need me to. Am I too dark? Let me see. There we go. I probably need to wrap this up pretty soon. Been on here for an hour and 40 minutes, so yeah, blame Letterman. I could definitely manipulate the niche type fragrances on the subscription services, but they changed things. Yeah, I'm sure that they did. A lot of people were probably really abusing Scentbird too, because you could get some probably as much of those decants as you want. I bet people were reselling those decants because some of them were really cheap for what they were worth. I bet that they might have even lost money. So to some degree. The Style Guru stuff is often sponsored heavy. I appreciate the style tips, but you eventually realize that they only know so much. Yeah, I mean, none of us are perfect, but I see what you're saying there. That they're going to suggest products that have been given or sponsored to them, and that's one of the problems with fragrances that a lot of people are worried about. Because if, especially if they're not transparent, like especially with a fragrance reviewer, if you get something for free and you're not transparent, then people really don't know if you're sponsored or not, and if you're just essentially promoting a product to people. That's the part. That's the problem with being deceptive. And if anybody out there with Parfums de Marly or any company is getting anything for free, and they're not disclosing that they got it for free, um, especially if they got paid. If money was exchanged, if they got money sent to their bank account, and they didn't disclose that, you're legally through YouTube, you have to include, that it's paid, a paid advertising, paid promotion. That's a part of YouTube's actually, user agreement, and that's actually illegal. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody's actually broke those rules before. I don't want to make any claims, but that's the real problem. Um, and if you did get the product for free and you're deceiving people, that's a big problem as well. But if you got money sent to you and you got a free product and you're not, didn't put the paid subscription so people get to see that and it pops up at the beginning of the video, YouTube and lawsuits could come after some of these people, big reviewers. So let me see here. Like when Alpha covered watches, movement is better than Rolex. The watch guys went crazy. Yeah, he's going to stir the pot and he's going to say what he needs to say to promote that product or promote that brand. I found a brand called Vincero, and Vincero is actually the first actually nice watch that I ever bought. But I don't know enough about watches, and I would never make a claim that it's better than Rolex. I do think that Rolex you're paying a lot for the brand name, you're paying a lot for the notoriety. I don't think that there's 10,000, some of the watches are worth even more than 10. I don't think that there's $5,000-$10,000 worth of quality actually going into the watches, but that you're saying an upcoming brand is just as good quality, it probably is a ridiculous statement. So yeah. And the thing is, with the drama, people getting in the comments and people watching the video and even people disliking the video, that's interaction. And YouTube actually sees that as a positive thing. Like, for example, if I had tons of people jumping onto my videos and actually watching my videos, and even if they were disliking my video, that's kind of seen as a positive by YouTube, which is a really funny thing. I think that YouTube needs to change things. I think thumbs up and thumbs down should be weighted into the equation of how your video ranks, but YouTube doesn't do that. And I've always thought that was a problem with YouTube. YouTube also, I shouldn't even say this. YouTube is going to kick, I don't know what they're going to do to my channel. But if you've been paying attention to what YouTube's actually doing, what YouTube's been promoting with YouTube Originals, and what they've done with their, what are they called? Flashbacks? No, YouTube Rewinds. That's what it's called. They have some of the most disliked videos ever, and they not only they might not understand, us YouTube in general. They might actually be opposed to their users, which YouTube is, in a really strange spot. I can't even say the word. I know my crazy things will happen to my channel. And actually, I said the key word on Facebook when the controversy was happening, and on Facebook, my account actually got like ghosted or like banned for like 3 days. and I don't know if I tried to repeal it, and a lot of people supported me, and I don't know if my YouTube account would have been permanently shadow banned if they wouldn't have helped me. YouTube and all these places, all these big name, Google, all these people are in cahoots, and they do have. I can't say the words. They have a purpose. That's a nice way of saying about it. The normal word starts with an A, but they have a purpose, and they're pushing a certain I don't know, message. They have they have a, I don't know, a strategy for how they want to change the world, and I certainly am not happy about it. Let me see. I'm considering buying one of those MVMT watches. They look cool. I haven't tried one of those. I need to try them. I like Clements because she is fun with her videos, and she has such a great sense of humor. I like Yana because she's so enthusiastic about her niche fragrances, and Claire is wonderful. Wicked too. Yeah, Claire is like that naughty aunt who's like super nice and super funny. I like Claire as well. Clemens is nice. A lot of people seem to really like her charm. She's really growing like crazy. Clemens is doing really well. Just a Rose is growing like crazy as well. Um, Clemens has got her little fancy little thing going, like with French. She's nice and all. I kind of like. I don't know if y'all seen a lady called Iris Fatisse. She's French as well. She doesn't speak English, but she reviews fragrances as well. And I kind of like her content more for a French lady. I don't know if y'all seen her channel, but yeah, uh, Yana's nice. I don't know if you've seen her content recently. She's recently been trying to push her content more to Patreon, which is kind of a controversial move. But she definitely is a niche queen, and she definitely knows a lot about fragrances, and has a huge, really nice niche collection for sure. So, if you like the style, why not? Yeah. I heard Jeremy Fragrance bought out Creed. No, no. But the thing is, I wouldn't be amazed if Jeremy Fragrance is a millionaire at this point. I don't think he's rich enough to do that, but there's no doubt that he's got buco bucks. Watches are like fragrances. Where would you like? Yeah, of course. And Vinceros are really nice. They're not. I'm not sponsored by Vincero. They probably have no earthly idea who I am, and I don't even wear the watch very often. So, but Vinceros I think are pretty nice. They're not too expensive. I think they're like 150 or so. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for the support, and thank you for the love. That means a lot. I probably am going to wrap up this video once I finally get to the end of the comment section here. I'm probably going to wrap this up. This fragrance is really light and really inoffensive, really nice and casual. If you're looking for something for the summer that's really safe, it doesn't change a lot. It's not very complex, but it just smells nice. If you're just going to the beach, if you're just going to the pool, hopefully after all this Rona, you know what I'm talking about, kind of, if all of that goes away and we can actually go to, pools or stuff, this would be nice just for easy casual vibes at the beach. It would work, no doubt. Do you have any really unique summer fragrances? In my opinion, it's hard to get a unique summer fragrance because for a fragrance to be a good summer fragrance, it has to be lighter. It has to be like more of an aromatic and more of a citrus fragrance. And that's where the thing comes, because you can't get a lot of complexity and you can't get a lot of the uniqueness just out of a summer fragrance as you'd want to. I like my Rivolare. I can get away with that, especially summer nights. That's by Fragranza. It's like a pear sorbet and a tea fragrance, and it has a lot of mint. I really like that. There's some really nice minty fragrances out there. I don't know if you saw some of my videos recently, but I talk highly about Le Eau Froid by Serge Lutens. That's one of my favorites. One of my favorite summer fragrances is Dolce Gabbana Light Blue Swimming in Lipari. It's a big ambroxan fragrance with a lot of salt. It's really salty. It smells like the sea breeze, and it has really good longevity as well. So, Omega and Seiko all the way. Yeah, Seikos are good. I haven't looked into Omega, but yeah, Seikos are legit. I know that Seikos are a really good brand to go into. For some reason, I wanted to be a little bit different, and I went for a Vincero, and I like it. But the full metal G-Shock squares are my fab. Yeah, those are dependable, and you can't destroy those. Those are like almost indestructible. Those will probably outlast you and me. Fave. Yeah. See. Dean says, "What do you think about Killian?" Uh, Killians are really nice. A lot of their fragrances have a sweet, smooth, kind of boozy vibe about them. I think that Killians are nice fragrances. I think you have to really like their vibe and like the story and like the brand because they're a luxurious, kind of up there mid tier or a high end niche brand. So you're paying a lot more for a fragrance, and you have to really like the brand, just like Tom Ford. Their fragrances are 350 odd bucks for like 50 mils, just like Tom Ford's private line. So you have to really like the fragrance. It has to be, you have to like the brand. You have to like, just like you're buying, a pair of Jordans or something really fancy, like buying a brand new car and you really like the brand. You have to really like Killian to be able to pay that. I haven't found a Killian that I love. I really want to try the Musk Oud and the Gold Knight, but I don't know if I'll. And the Rolling in Love is a pretty darn good fragrance, but for the money, I don't think I might not ever buy Killian. I might never have a Killian in my collection because if you compare that to a full size bottle for 100 mils, that's essentially a $700 fragrance for 100 mils. It's pretty expensive, and I don't know. Killians are nice from what I've seen. I'd like to try some more. We'll see if I ever get one. I don't think I will, but we'll see. They need to watch with a built. Watch with a built in a fragrance decant. Oh, a watch built into a fragrance decant. That'd be interesting. Like a mini watch, or like a watch that you can slide a decant in it and then spray it on yourself or something. You're being kind of like thinking of Mr. Gadget over there. Killian, Back to Black is the best. I've heard really good things about that one. I don't remember if I've tried that one. Oh, thanks, Ben. Enjoyed the chat. Should go away. Man, need food. Bye. Hey, man, you're going to get me hungry. I've been on here for almost 2 hours. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for chatting with me. I don't want to keep you all night, but I want to thank you for spending your time with me here, being a friend, being a fragrance enthusiast, being interested in fragrances. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Hopefully I showcased a good little cheapie that y'all might like. Trust me, if you like cheapies and you're trying to be on a budget and save money, I'll never let you down. I actually have a lot of cheapie content coming, but I'd love to cover all kinds of fragrances. So hopefully this gave you a little bit of a taste of what you want. So anyways, my friends, thank you for all the love and the continued support. Thank you for enjoying I guess my content or fragrances in general, and being a fragrance enthusiast. It means the world. Thank you for the friendship. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, and if you haven't checked out my Instagram, I'm very active there as well. I have all kinds of fantastic content. Yes, a shameless plug, but I do have a big Instagram. I have over 3,000 on Instagram now. Honestly, Instagram seems to like me a lot more than YouTube does. I don't know. Maybe I don't know why YouTube doesn't like me as much as some people. Some people have surpassed me or doubled me at this point. I don't know. And I play around with my thumbnails. I play around with my my tags really well. I don't know. YouTube doesn't like me, but we'll see. Anyways, be well, my friends. Be safe. Take it easy. Definitely eat some good food for me. I'll see you next time, everybody. Peace out. Wear what you love, and I'll see you next time, everybody. I'll get on live tomorrow as well, probably around the same time. I'll see you next time, everybody. Bye. Have a good one.